So, Michael, you have been in the headlines over the past few days after tearing down, essentially decapitating the Satanic Temple's symbol, this giant symbol that they placed in the Iowa State Capitol. Take us through what led you to take that action.
The state of Iowa put this satanic icon in the Iowa Capitol a couple of weeks ago. I don't know exactly when, but they put it up. I saw news of it on social media, and hopefully, like almost the entire country, I would hope, but perhaps not. When I saw it, I thought, how on earth can satanic icons be in the Capitol? And I thought, it's some kind of oversight, some little bureaucracy. They approved it, but nobody knew about it. And once people find out about it, they'll take it down, because how can you honor Satan like they're doing? And so I saw on Wednesday that it had not been taken down, and I didn't know what the process was with Iowa, who the decision makers were, what arguments they were making, but I decided to get a plane ticket, go up to Iowa, and look at the thing myself. And I'll tell you what, whatever emotion you may have felt looking at it online, it's completely different when you are actually in the Capitol. You're next to the rotunda. I'm an American. I've been in the Navy for my entire adult life. I fought to protect the country, and it wasn't to protect Satan. We say, so help me God, not so help me Satan. And then being in the Capitol and looking at this statue, this icon, it became very clear to me that this could not stand. It was intolerable for it to be there. And so I did what I did. I kind of cleaned up afterward. There was some, debris, some garbage, really, that had gone outside of the little rectangle inside the Capitol that was allowed by the Capitol for them to be there. Put everything back in there so nobody would trip on a candle or something like that. Then I went back into the security terminal and said, hey, I'm back. And this is what I did. I'm turning myself in. And then
how did they react to you when you went in? Because most people wouldn't go and turn themselves in after that. What was the reaction to that?
It was kind of early in the morning. It was like 8:15 or so. I think it was kind of a sleepy, Wednesday, Thursday. And hardly anybody was even in the Capitol. I think it was I don't know if that's how it normally is. I don't know if it's in session or not. But it seemed kind of, sleepy. They were professional. But it was kind of laid back. And so I said, hey, that satanic icon, it's not there anymore. I said something like that. And they said, oh, okay. And I said, yeah, I'm turning myself in. I gave them my ID, my phone number, and I didn't know if they were the people the right people to talk to, but they were the best people to talk to, because there are no other cops that I saw. And they ended up calling a state trooper, or a couple of them, and eventually they came over. But they were, I don't know. I don't know if they were expecting it. They didn't seem to be expecting it, but.
And at that point, were you arrested and charged? Is that the point where that happened?
So I think there's some bad information that got put out by the media. I've seen it in a couple of different outlets. It never came from me. I know that I was never arrested. There's no shot. I was never fingerprinted or anything like that.
Because that's what multiple reports are saying, that you were arrested. So I was curious. I hadn't seen that. No. I hadn't seen evidence of that. So you were not arrested. So what happened at that point then?
After the cops came over, they talked to me. They started talking to higher ups because there's a bit more than at play, I guess, here, and so they I don't know exactly who they were speaking with, but after about 30 minutes or so of me being there in the Capitol, they said, hey, you're free to go. And they had my phone number. They said, hey, like, we'll either give you a call or we'll, if it's a few days later, then we'll send you some certified mail, or some, I think that's what they said, if they decide to press charges, I think. And then sure enough, about 10 minutes after I left the Capitol, they gave me a call, and they said, hey, can you come on back to the station and sign this paperwork, just saying that, hey, here's the citation. And so of course I went back. I mean, I already turned myself in once. So yeah, I'll go back. And they gave me the citation, and then I went on my merry way.
So reports are also stating it's fourth degree criminal mischief. Is that accurate? That's what the penalty?
That is what the citation is for. That is correct.
Okay. So what happens from here in terms of ramifications? And then we'll get into more of the theological issues here and why you took the action you did. What happens now? What penalties could you face as a result of this?
The maximum penalty is for that specific charge is, I believe, up to 1 year in jail and I think $2,500, $2,700, something like that in fines. That's the maximum penalty. Was that your only question? Did you have a second question?
Yeah, no, that is my only question on that front. You know, it's interesting because you've ignited quite a debate, right? Even among Christians, you've got, two sides of this, people who are saying, people should be praising you for this and celebrating you because you have taken down a symbol that honestly shouldn't be there. Even if there's a holiday argument, it's interesting to note that the Satanists aren't, by the way, these Satanists, the Satanic Temple is an atheist group. Technically, which is interesting, and that's a whole other conversation. But there's no Christmas celebration happening here, right? This is the time of year we celebrate Christmas, and so that symbol has nothing to do with Christmas. The other side will say, well, we shouldn't be destroying property, we shouldn't do this, and you have to allow more free speech, not less, right? So how do you respond to that debate that you've ignited with this?
I think that it's the wrong debate to have, that it's extremely simple, that, there can be, we could talk about this for hours, for days. There are people that are much more intelligent than I am, much more well-versed in making good Christian, good legal arguments. But it really boils down to God is good and deserves praise, and Satan is evil and does not deserve praise. And it's not they're not equal. There is an example that I gave earlier today, I think, was, if there was some, fake religious group that they call themselves a religion, and they decided that they wanted to honor ISIS or honor Osama bin Laden for 9/11, and they got a permit from a bureaucrat to put a display of the 6 foot, 8 foot tall Osama bin Laden inside a state capitol. Who's going to defend that? They're going to be, of course, there's always going to be somebody, but that doesn't mean that it's a good argument. That doesn't mean that we have to listen to it. That there's a lot of I think, misconceptions about what the Satanic Temple, what the devil is. The devil is bad, and it's not something that we should promote.
Well, and I think to make this point too, the Satanic Temple is an atheist organization that does not literally worship Satan, but that doesn't mean that putting a symbol of Satan, because there's still a form, the argument can be made that you are still endorsing, when you say hail Satan, even if you don't believe that Satan exists, if you're on that side of the Satanists, of course there are real Satanists out there who do worship Satan, unfortunately, but you're still giving credence and attention to Satan, and you're doing it in a public forum. And so, again, that's a totally different conversation. And you brought up an interesting example there. You also know, I'm sure, that there are people who are accusing you of all sorts of things. They're saying this is a PR stunt, that you went there knowing you were going to do this. And how do you respond to those people who would wage those accusations your way?
It's not I certainly saw this ahead of time and was but I did not know, I did not have a full plan of what I was going to do. I didn't know if there was going to be security there around the icon. I didn't know if there were going to be politicians protesting. And there was no set plan. There was certainly an immense dislike that I had from seeing it online. But in terms of a PR stunt, I saw that Satanist leader say that another misconception that's out there that I want to make clear. But there's talk that I'm an active political candidate. I am not an active political candidate. I have no campaign for office. I have in the past, but there's no campaign for office. And that is so that's not an accurate thing. And for the people that are saying, hey, you're doing this for some kind of gain, I mean, I'm risking when I made that decision in the Capitol, I knew that there was going to be potential penalties. I didn't know what the exact, charge was going to be, but I could imagine that, it could lead to jail, could lead to other, severe financial hardship. But it was the right thing to do. That we should not tolerate Satan. And so that's what I say to them.
And thank you for clarifying that too, because yes, I know you ran in 2022. I believe there have been people saying that you have an active campaign, which is not true. And so thank you for clarifying that. What happens now, moving forward here? Because obviously you have these potential penalties. What are the next steps from authorities that you know of at this point?
There's a court date on December 29th. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so I may use the incorrect phrase for exactly the terminology of what's going to happen, but I think that's the initial arraignment, where we enter our plea. We may do that earlier. I'm talking with the lawyers, with counsel right now, about what the best plan is forward. And I'm certainly going to listen to their advice, but go with what's in my heart about what the right thing to do going forward is.
And as far as law, have you had law firms reaching out to you? I was curious about that. Religious liberty law firms. Have you had any of those groups reaching out, or have you had to kind of go out and get counsel on your own?
So I had a previous relationship with a lawyer, or a legal relationship with a lawyer that I knew from, had helped out some military service members in regards to the COVID-19 mandate for the military. And when I have had legal trouble, I reached out to those guys and they said, hey, this is one of the good guys. So I gave him a call, and then we certainly had a lot of people offer help, many pro bono, which has been a blessing. Right now, I know that I've got my own personal lawyer. He's not in Iowa though, so I have retained counsel in Iowa. I think there might be other people that are assisting on the side, but there's certainly, I don't know all the details on that off the top of my head. But I do know that it's been great to see the amount of support from the legal community in this matter.
Yeah, and just as we round out to a close here, you have a lot of attention on this. You've done some interviews. You're talking about it. It's a unique circumstance because most people, when something like this happens, you went right up. You said, "Look, this is what I did. This is why I did it." You very clearly have stated why you believe that this should not have been there. What is your final message to those who, are on the other side? They're not understanding. You've said it. You've given the reason, but I want to kind of give you a chance to make your appeal to them because, this seems like something that you passionately feel very strongly about.
For people who often what we do, I think just as citizens, as Christians, is it's easy to tolerate a slow change, a slow inflow of evil in society and our lives. And an example I've given is the frog in the pot of boiling water that, things seem fine at first, but, after a while, the things that would have 30 years ago, our grandparents would never have accepted, regardless of, your current faith background, regardless of if you're a Christian or not, or how strong your faith and active your faith in Christianity is. I think we can pretty much agree that our grandparents' generation would never have tolerated this, let alone the founders when they were creating our legal documents that we adhere to today. And so it should be a wake-up call that the state is allowing or has been allowing this sort of evil to be promoted. And the one example I'll give that's perfect for this is that one of the pieces of hate mail that I got was from an Iowa father, I think he was from Iowa, that he was mad at me, not over any, First Amendment issue, but he was mad because he was unable to show his daughter the statue to the devil in the state capitol. And he wanted, for good, that he wanted to show that this was an example of, hey, how cool is this that we've got the devil in the Capitol? And how broken of a society are we if that's the mindset that a parent has for their child? And so I think there's some deeper questions that we need to have about ourselves and about our country.
Well, Michael, I appreciate you taking the time, taking us through the story. We'll continue to check in with you as it develops.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.